Whenever we start to make our own seedlings, we face a lot of questions. Which grow medium do I need? Do I even need to make my own greenhouse? Is trays necessary for me to actually make my own seedling? There's just so many questions that you face. And I'm here to tackle a lot of questions that we may stumble upon. Welcome to Fresh Bite Farm. I know as gardeners, as farmers, we face a lot of questions whenever we want to make our very own things. And I'm here to tackle a lot of questions that we may face when it comes to making our very own seedlings. And the first question being, do I even need a greenhouse to make my own seedlings? To be honest, it's unnecessary. I just have a greenhouse because I'm making a very large amount of seedlings. So I needed to create a very ideal environment for it. And I can advise you, if you're planning to make your own very greenhouse too, use a 30% or 20% shading net, because 40% can be too dense. And what it can result in your plants lacking a lot of sunlight because it's blocking a lot of sunlight. And that's the trouble that I'm facing right here in my nursery. And the second question being, are trays necessary to make seedlings? Okay, no, it's not necessary. I guess right now you're just asking yourself, is this guy saying no to every question? No, I'm not saying no to every question, but I'm trying to show you what is necessary for you to make your very own seedlings. So trays are not really necessary, because what trays do, it just makes it easier for me to be able to pick it out, so that whenever I transplant it, it becomes easier for me to pick it out. But I can always recommend you to just use even your plastic bag. You can have your compost in there and just drizzle around your seedlings and you're good to go, especially if you have a very small amount that you want to make. But if you're someone like me, you will obviously need trays, because if you're making about 20,000 or even 10,000 of them, you're gonna need trays so that it's easier for you to transplant it. The third question that we may have, which grow medium do I need? So I have sampled with a lot of grow mediums. So I tried out 2 grow mediums, and what I've realized and what I've picked up from these 2 trays is that cocoa peat, although it is good with other components, but alone it lacks a lot of nutrients. So it may be good, but it lacks nutrients. So you will have to use fertilizers to make it very productive. And on the right hand side, I use compost. But the problem I had is this big chunks of wood in it. So it is really hard for my seeds to sprout out because there's a lot of chunks. And the third that I can say, never use soil, because soil contains a lot of bacteria, it contains a lot of insects, it is even compact in a way that it makes it hard for your seed to sprout. So those are the things that I can tell you, and I will link down a best combination that you can always use for your compost. And the fourth question being, how do I even irrigate my seedlings? So to be honest, you can be fancy and try all this different irrigation that there is. And to be honest, that's what I long to do. But I cannot stop the progress of making my own seedlings because I'm waiting for that. So what I did for myself is I just made holes at the bottom of the bottle. So all I do is just drizzle it upon my trays and then you're good to go. So you don't necessarily need to have really fancy irrigations. Although if you have access to them, it's always great to have those, because you can make it can be a very easy progress for you to irrigate your seedlings. You don't have to necessarily pick out water every single time and go through all your trays. You could just simply turn on the tap and you show that all of your seedlings get the right water. And the fifth question being, do they even need nutrients? Do I need nutrients? Do I need fertilizers? To be honest, you don't need it. As long as you have the right grow medium, as long as you chose the perfect combination, I believe that your compost will have all the nutrients that your plant need. You don't necessarily have to have fertilizers to apply to them, unless if you're using something like cocopeat. Cocopeat is a grow medium that lacks a lot of nutrients, so you obviously have to have nutrients. And what I used to use for my cocopeat is multi-feed and hydrogrow. And the last question, the sixth question being, which tools do I need to make my work easier? This is one of the best questions that you can have. To be honest, there is plenty, because as you just start out, you will figure out that you need a lot of things as you progress. So what I did for myself is I made myself a sieve. So this sieve, its intention is to separate the solid, right, from the soil. So what you can see, it already separated the solid from the soil, and I can be sure to have a very, very light soil with no solids in it. And although I just made it myself, I figure out that there's so many things that you need to modify as you progress. So what I can always say, you start out, you will figure out what you need. And the other tool that I've made for myself is this right here. Yep. So this is a plank that I made a lot of nails screwed to it. So this helped me to make holes whenever I plant, and it helps me to poke out whenever I transplant. So it will be able to go underneath, because they all have um, holes underneath. So this will be able to go inside and make and push out all of your seedlings. So it's really, really efficient for me, because it cuts out a lot of time that I may be wasting to make holes, or even to poke out all the seeds. So you can even buy this, but you don't necessarily have to buy everything. You can literally make yourself everything that you like to do. As long as you have the right mindset, then you can make yourself anything. And this tool is a tool that I want to acquire. So this tool is a tool that helps me to plant my seed. So I have a problem with, I'm using a spoon, so I have to individually pick one seed at a time, and it's just so time consuming. So this, I think it will be very, very, very efficient for me, and it's really affordable. That's about 50 rand. So if you get this for yourself, it will save you a tons of time. So yeah, there's so many questions that you always have. And I hope I have covered most of the important questions. What I can always advise you to do is start out. Whatever that you have, start out. You'll learn as you progress, and you will figure out what are the things that you need so that you can progress. You don't have to get everything that I need at the very start. All you need is a grow medium, like even a plastic bag, and have your own compost in it. You have seeds, you have water, then that's good to go. And the more you make, the more you figure out that, oh, I also need that, I also need that, and I also need that. But what I can always advise you to do is just start out. Start out with whatever you have, and you will grow from there.